I want to go over something here with everybody that I think needs to be considered because apparently there's dark pools on XR, on the whatever XRPs ran in dark pools, and it could be running in these dark pools at a significantly higher value than what it's currently reflecting on the public ledgers. And when the two converge and become, the same payment railway system, there's no more dark pools, you know, then it's a huge potential of price discovery. Let me just go over a fundamental, structuring of what would happen if this were, in fact, taking place. Okay, and I just want to kind of like emphasize that I've only asked these questions to create a scenario based on what's really taking place in the financial sector currently. As far as real estate tokenization, gold tokenization onto the XRPL via Medico and companies that are working with and partnered with and already bought out by Ripple. So this is strictly XRP here, okay? So listen to this, folks. I'm adding a fascinating and crucial layer to the scenario. The inclusion of RWAs in real-world asset tokenization, specifically gold and real estate, which is taking place, fundamentally alters the dynamics of the ledger, convergence, and XRP's price stability. Here's a 3-paragraph synopsis incorporating RWAs into the potential scenario of XRP being ran at a higher price in dark pools. And so, this revised scenario introduces a significant element of the real-world asset, the RWA tokenization, into the existing two-ledger system for XRP, a private dark pool and a public ledger, beyond the inherent price disparity for XRP itself, with the dark pool showing an exponentially higher valuation. Certain ledgers are now enriched with tokenized assets. Real world. So XRP anchored to these real world assets as well. The long-term implications of such a merger, particularly with RWA tokenization, are incredibly compelling. And Unified Ledger, now processing a substantial reserve of tokenized real estate and gold, would gain an unprecedented level of price stability for XRP. This stability would not only justify the higher dark pool price, but potentially attract a wave of traditional institutional investing and a large-scale capital who prioritize asset-backed security over pure speculation. Now, I do know that 401ks are able to hold, XRP now and cryptocurrencies. So, it's a $9 trillion market. So let's continue. The public ledger, by integrating with the dark pool's price and its RWA holdings, would essentially transform XRP into a hybrid asset, combining the efficiency of the blockchain with the tangible value of real-world assets. The introduction of the tokenized real-world assets profoundly impacts the convergence dynamic. These assets, by their nature, are typically far less volatile than speculative digital currencies. If a ledger, or specifically the dark pool, has amassed a significant amount of tokenized gold and real estate, it effectively creates an underlying store of value that lends remarkable stability to the tokens on that ledger, including XRP. This RWA backing provides a tangible link to the physical economy, reducing the purely speculative nature often associated with cryptocurrencies. Therefore, when the two ledgers merge, the public ledger wouldn't just be adopting a higher price, it would be adopting a higher and more stable price for XRP to become a stable or valuable, high-value real-world asset. A private dark pool and a public ledger. So beyond that inherent. So right here it says, a private dark pool and a public ledger beyond the inherent disparity itself. The dark pool showing the exponentially higher valuation. Certainly, certain ledgers are now enriched with tokenized gold and real estate. This tokenization is not merely about representing these assets digitally, it's about imbuing them with a higher intrinsic value on the blockchain than their traditional market, and crucially leveraging them as a stabilizing force for the ledger's overall price. The core question remains how XRP's price will behave when these two ledgers must eventually unify. But now, with the added complexity of these robust tokenized assets acting as a ballast. I believe that's what's taking place right now, folks. Not financial advice or anything, but that's what's happening. It's just taking the adoptive process. Anyway, not financial advice, just you're welcome. I mean, could this be possible? Yeah. It's extremely possible. It's extremely possible. And that's kind of why we have the price of prey. I mean, it's just. I do believe inherently, like, I believe down in the core of my bones that it's extremely potential that the ISO 222 tokens are going to possibly, like, underperform the market like they have been for what they do until the actual utility gets applied onto them, like I've been thinking for a while now. And then once that gets applied on there, it's going to be moon bags, baby. Moon bags. So don't let any of this, like, market world elites war, this, that. I mean, it's possible, man. There's a lot of weird shit going on. And this could be the swan events that need to take place in order to reset the whole whatever. And it's not looking, I mean, it's looking interesting, folks. It's really looking interesting. I hope this has been, like, gives a little different perspective as to potential price discoveries for XRP based on the information that's taking place currently. I always encourage everyone to do your own research, but if you are wondering what is going on and why things are not moondogging yet, look up the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, the EKHD pilot program. Look up what Fubon Bank in Hong Kong, the Taiwanese bank, is doing with Ripple and their partnership. Look up what HSBC is partnered with Ripple doing. And look at what Medico is doing across the world as well, be it the tokenization of real world assets. So there's a lot of things that are taking place right now. It's almost as if it's like a analysis paralysis. But I know that there's going to be a big problem and then a big fix real quick, and the cryptocurrency is going to come into play. So it's an interesting time. If I wasn't so heavily invested into crypto, I would be running for the hills, I think. Let that sink in. Anyway, folks, give me a like and a follow. I'll check you on the rebound.